So last weekend I set a new PB of 30:58 over the 10k distance, which is kind of weird because it's the exact same time that I ran on the track. So that means my road and my track PBs are identical. So in today's video, I'm going to be having a little debate, and you guys can join in the comments about whether track or road is quicker, because there's lots of different things that come into it. I've made a similar video back when I first started my channel, but I think I'll do a better job at executing it this time. So yeah, sit back, relax, and let's have a healthy debate about whether track or road is quicker for running, for racing, for setting PBs. But before we get into that, I need to get changed. I'm heading into Canterbury to train with Canterbury Endurance this morning. I think we're going to do a grass session, 5-minute reps, probably 6 of them. Just before we get properly into the video, some people seem to be a little bit confused about me joining Tunbridge and thinking that meant that I wasn't going to be training with the guys at Canterbury Endurance anymore, or DC. And just to clear things up, Canterbury Endurance isn't a club. I haven't left Canterbury Endurance. Anyone can come and go as they please, and Canterbury Endurance is a completely free group. And yeah, it's not an England Athletics affiliated club. So I'll still be training with them every weekend. So yeah, nothing's going to change on that front. It's just the only difference is that I've left Invicta and I've joined Tunbridge. So that's the only difference, because I actually wasn't training with Invicta anyway. I was just racing for them, but my training was all with Canterbury Endurance. So the only thing that's different is that I've gone back to uni and I'm training with Tunbridge during the week. And then I see Canterbury Endurance at the weekends. But yeah, haven't fallen out with anyone, haven't left any groups, still training with the exact same people generally. So yeah, anyway, let's get ready for the session. So first of all, with track and road racing, there are of course rules that you have to apply to or abide to. So it doesn't matter how cool your colourway is, as long as you're track legal. So with the track, you need to be wearing nothing that's more than 25mm of stack height. So that limits you quite a lot. So you've got to wear basically a spike, which most people tend to wear these Nike Dragonflies. We've got the Come On Cole limited edition version here. However, when it comes to the road, you can wear something with a little bit more cushioning, a little bit more foam. You can wear something like the On Cloudboom Echo 3, for example, which is what I did both of my PBs in. I did my track PB in the Dragonflies and the road PB in the On Cloudboom Echo 3. Now, at the end of the day, it all becomes very personal about which one you would choose of the two. But for me personally, I find I run better in a bigger stack height shoe. Something like the On Cloudboom Echo 3, I find my calves get quite tired wearing spikes for 25 laps. So for me personally, when it comes to footwear, road has almost definitely got to take the win. I find the shoes you can wear for road and still be legal so much more cushioning, so much more forgiving than track spikes. But again, it's kind of personal preference. Some people might prefer a more responsive, close to the ground feel, and that's why some people, even on the roads, may wear something like a racing flat, which gives you that kind of spiky kind of feel. So yeah, it all comes down to personal preference, but for me, I think the road's quicker when it comes to the footwear, because they're just more forgiving on my legs and I find I don't fatigue as quickly. Now, even though spikes have a less stack height and you can have more cushioning on a road shoe, that doesn't take into consideration the surfaces that you can be running on. So for example, with a track, some of these new age tracks are so soft and cushioned, something like the Mondo track or the indoor Boston track, the New Balance track. All of these different types of tracks, they give so much more back to the athlete than old school tracks would have done, and almost definitely more than a road surface would. So in terms of energy transfer, the athlete is going to get so much more energy return from the track surface, which, does it trump the fact that the shoes have more cushioning for the road? Some might say it does. Tiny side note just before we leave for training, my Manchester half number arrived. Pretty cool, huh? The navy blue is going to go absolutely sublime with the Tunbridge vest. So yeah, excited for this. 2 weeks till that event now. It's going pretty quick. Wait, is it the 1st of October? Oh no, it's the 30th. 1st tomorrow. So for me, the biggest plus for road running and why it would be potentially quicker than track running is the mental side. For me, I really struggle mentally to keep myself motivated and to keep working hard for a track race for the entire time. I just really struggle. I find the road is such a better environment for being able to locate landmarks, focus on the next person, that sort of thing, to move through and progress through the course, that track racing just doesn't have. Mentally, watching that lap number tick down every single lap is demoralising, and that's what happened when it came to the night at 10k PBs. When I had that 5 laps to go, 4 laps to go, and the legs were just seizing up, mentally, each lap just felt like probably the equivalent of what a kilometre feels like on the road, if I'm honest. So yeah, that's probably one of the biggest pluses for why the road might be quicker than the track. But that comes down to, I guess, your mental fortitude. Some people might not find the track as difficult to race. So yeah, it's a tricky one. So the next thing is that some people would say that pacing on a track is much easier than pacing on a road, because you can divide the race up into 25 laps rather than 10 kilometers or 6 miles. So as you can see the track behind me, I'm actually training on the field today. I just have to park at the track car park. But yeah, so some people would say it's much easier to pace, as you can really dial in to that pace per lap, and you can really get a better kind of gauge of whether you're ahead of pace, behind pace, etc. And it's easier to make sure that you don't go off too quick, because you've basically got an immediate 400 meter time check after 1 lap. So yeah, I definitely find it easier to pace on the track, but also that can also have a negative effect mentally, as I saw a couple of years ago at the night at 10Ks, when I was 2 seconds behind my pace, 3 seconds behind my pace, and then suddenly mentally you start to crumble. But yeah, for the most part, it's easier to pace on the track. Pair of nail clippers.
Go on, boys. Go on, Gibbo. Go on, Gibbo. Go on, Gibbo.
So that was a really good session. Just got back from my cool down. 6 times 5 minutes. Felt really strong. Just feeling stronger every run at the moment. It's just such a lovely place to be. And this sort of feeling that I'm getting at the moment every run is the reason why we run, right? It's the thing that kind of drives us to keep going. Getting the fuel in straight away. Oh, that's a good banana. Aldi bananas. So another reason why people might think track's a little bit easier, especially if you're a bit of a faster runner, is having actual pacers is so much easier. And especially with the introduction of wave lights, for example, which I was able to experience at the night of 10Ks, it made fixing onto a pace even easier. So not only could I divide the pace into 25 laps, but I could also chase a wave light. I had a pacer that could drop out at any 400 meter point if they really wanted. Whereas a road race, typically pacers will go to a set distance, 5K, 3K, or whatever it is, and it makes it a lot more difficult to get a pacer, and there's a lot less pacers that are available, specifically if you're a faster runner at road races. They're typically more available for the track races, so specifically because there is that option to drop out after every 400 meters should they so choose. So anyway, I'm gonna finish the banana, get home, get some lunch. I've got a busy afternoon of massages and also leader playing, so I've got that to look forward to. But don't you worry, I've got plenty more reasons why you might think track or road is quicker. Oh, so good. So, back from the session, got my lunch all sorted, made some kind of potato sliced things in the air fryer. Got my standard carrots, mushrooms, fish cakes. That's becoming a bit of a joke. And then I went for something new, to some like char grilled peppers type thing. One thing we probably should mention is that the 5 and 10K world records are quicker on track for both men and women. So there's obviously the elites definitely find track as a quicker, more controlled environment. Obviously there's no elevation, no wind, anything like that. So that is definitely a massive plus point for track, is that there's no external environment. You might have the odd windy track that could play a part, but for the most part there's no hills, no elevations, nothing like potholes for example, unless you're going to a really crappy track. But yeah, another reason why maybe track might be a bit quicker. So I'm just about to head out for my second run of the day, which is just going to be an easy 5 miles. Really super easy. I'm not going to worry about the pace. Just go completely off feel. I've got sent a pair of aftershocks to try. So I've tried my mum's aftershocks before, so I'll give these a go. No opinions of them just yet, but we'll give those a go on the run. So I'm just going to put on a podcast. But a reason for potentially why track could be quicker than road for a lot of especially faster runners is I think the depth of field you get in especially 5 and 10k races is so much better on the track. I think typically, like you saw at like Highgate Night at 10k PBs, every race is stacked depending on what time you want. Whereas road races, like at the Vitality Night at 10Ks, I ran pretty much solo the entire way. So I think if you want a really good depth of field, especially if you're on that kind of sub-elite sort of level, I think there can definitely be more of a potential for better fields on the track. Whereas if you're a bit more aiming for seeing things like 50 minutes for 10K, 55, 60 minutes for 10K, for example, I think you'll get a better pacing, but also a better group of runners to run with on the roads. But anyway, let's head out for an easy run. Give these a little try. Ignore the baby photos, you know, don't look at them. So back from my run, I've got my recovery shake. It's just hazelnut milk with some white chocolate protein powder, a bit like a white chocolate Ferrero Rocher if you like, or a white Kinder Bueno. Good stuff. So one other reason why a road race, 5 or 10k, might be quicker than a track race is just there's so many more of them. You can just absolutely keep hammering 5 and 10ks until you got a PB if you really wanted. But 5 and 10k track races, now they're a little bit more few and far between, so they're a bit more tricky to PB at because you've kind of got one roll of the dice. If you are looking for a great 10k race, I highly recommend the night of the 10k PBs. It's around about May time, track 10k, you won't have an atmosphere like it. There are some qualification standards, but it's definitely the best in the UK when it comes to track 10k racing. But yeah, they're just a bit few and far between, so you just gotta choose your battles wisely when it comes to the track. But it's another point for the road, I'm afraid. So I just hopped in the bath with some Epsom salts just to help flush the legs out with some warm water. And I've got a little bit of shin pain, so I've got some ice to alternate between the heat and the ice. It just helps to basically constrict and then dilate the opposite way around, dilate and then constrict the blood vessels to help flush some fresh fluid, fresh blood through, etc. So definitely do that if you've got any injuries or niggles that you've got. But one thing I was made aware of the other day by Tim Gross on my Vitality 10k race vlog. Tim Gross, for those that don't know, is the owner and founder of Power of 10, basically the website that stores every UK athletics registered athletes PBs. So all of my PBs, if they're official, they go on my Power of 10. So if you want to have a look up all my official times and stuff, go on Power of 10, put my name in. But he put a comment on my video basically saying that road PBs are slightly different in that they're always rounded up, which I thought was super interesting actually. I didn't know that. So he said that apparently my time for the Vitality 10k was 30:57.7, but it got rounded up to 30:58, which I thought was really interesting actually. So yeah, that's maybe another reason why road potentially could be quicker, because all your road times are going to be getting rounded up. So yeah. You could actually be running slightly quicker than the time sets, but we're talking tiny little minuscule. And then one final point, guys, is that there is obviously a lot more options when it comes to road races. You can do a 5k, you can do a 10 mile, you can do a half marathon. But when it comes to purely 5 and 10ks, we're only going to stick to those distances, even maybe the mile, being as the road mile is becoming a little bit more popular. I just think the opportunities are so much greater in a road 5k, 10k. Something like the Telford 10k, technically a legal course, everyone knows it's super, super quick. And is it quicker than track? You'd have to ask people that have done it, I guess. So anyway, I enjoy this bath. Just before we end off this vlog, when I get out of the bath, I'll tell you about some races I've got coming up. And yeah, then we'll finish things there. So while I'm icing my shin like a wounded puppy, let's talk about my next couple of races. So I'm going to be racing the National Road Relays next weekend, which is I think it's in Birmingham somewhere. That's going to be for my new club, Tunbridge, which is, you know, pretty cool and really, really exciting to be part of their A team. I'm under no illusions that I probably wouldn't have made the A team without a couple of injuries here or there, but it doesn't matter. I'm still absolutely stoked to be a part of such a good team and such a established club. So I'm gonna do my absolute best to help the team do well and see how high we can finish up. And then the week after that is going to be the Manchester Half Marathon, where I will be going for that sub 67 again, provided my shin's all good. I don't think my shin's anything major. I think it's just probably just a little bit of overtraining, you know. So I'm just need to monitor it, and if I need a day off here or there, absolutely no problems. But yeah, so sub 67 will be the goal there. I'm going up to Manchester with some friends. So hopefully they don't distract me too much drinking, etc., because they're non-running mates. So so yeah, we'll have to see. In conclusion, I think without offending anyone, I think generally the quicker you are, the more you're going to favour the track for your 5 and 10Ks, and then generally the slower or less quick that you are, I think you'll generally prefer the road. There are of course some exceptions. I personally prefer the road. I find it mentally easier, but maybe that's because I'm maybe a little bit mentally weak, who knows. But I think if you're looking at it purely objectively, the track is 100% quicker. It's pancake flat. Even if there's a headwind, that means you've got a tailwind for exactly the same amount of time. Pacing is so much easier. The environment's so much more controlled. It's always, almost always going to be a better atmosphere on average, in terms of you've got one lap of space to fill with spectators rather than an entire course. And although shoes will play a massive difference, these new wave of spikes, they've definitely closed the gap between spikes and shoes. So I don't think it's as clear cut as it maybe used to be. And 12.5 or 25 laps in these new age spikes, the Dragonflies, the Adidas, Adizero, Avantis, etc. I don't think it's as clear cut anymore. But anyway, these are just my opinions. Drop down your opinions down below in the comments. I hope you've enjoyed this healthy debate. Please don't come for me in the comments if you disagree. But anyway guys, thanks for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, share with your running buddies, and yeah. No, I dropped my ice. And I'll catch you in the next one.